Today on the show, Scarlett Johansson's AI nightmare, all the best write-ins from you, the listeners, plus my new favourite song, and it's not what you might think, I guarantee it. All that and more on 20th Century Boy, the show that's just like TikTok, in that it sucks and I hate it. Welcome to 20th Century Boy. My name is Broken Mike, and this is the inside of my mind. Oh, welcome to the podcast, 20th Century Boy, a podcast by me, Radio Mike. Just a guy, just a guy from Melbourne, just doing life. You know how it is. Hey, this is 20th Century Boy, a podcast by me, Radio Mike. It's the conversations you wish you were having about the stuff that nobody else cares about. That is what this show is all about. 6 years into the show, which is crazy. It's not getting any better, I promise you that. But I start the show each week with a different Mike-related name. They are hard to come up with, so feel free to send them in. But this week I went with Broken Mike, and kind of segues nicely into a plug for the Patreon, patreon.com/Radio Mike. If you like the show or you like anything that I make, please jump onto the Patreon, get a bunch of bonus content there, and just support the show financially, because I went with Broken Mike because, look, here's the thing about doing a podcast, okay? I started this podcast 6 years ago when I was living at my mum and dad's place. I did it in my dad's garage. And honestly, pretty much all of the microphones and all of the gear that I use are like 6 or 7 years old now. Like, they are from those OG days in dad's garage doing this podcast. So it's all pretty old. And essentially, let me walk you through like just lots of like teething issues coming back from Japan and getting back into making stuff that I almost quit forever because, I mean, first things first, last week when I did the podcast, if you usually watch on YouTube, I put videos on YouTube, also on Spotify, full videos, but I filmed the whole ep and then the SD card corrupted because it's an old SD card. So I had to buy some new SD cards. So I lost all the video. Then I did a bunch of videos for YouTube, just more generally, lost the SD card, and all of the audio I lost as well because one of the microphones is now broken, and so is the cord that connects the microphone to the Rodecaster, which I record on, right? So just did all this stuff, all of these false starts, had nothing to show for it. I was like, this is so annoying. Maybe this is the sign that I should quit forever. I genuinely thought that. Now, thankfully, I decided to push through it and got a bunch of content done. But, you know, the Rodecaster that I use, it's starting to get a little bit wobbly in places. Stuff is starting to, like, not work properly. So basically, I am predicting, you know, in the next 6 months to 12 months, I'm going to have to buy pretty much all new stuff, which is fine, but that's why I went with Broken Mike, because all of my stuff is broken and thus I am broken. And yeah, eventually I'm going to have to buy a bunch of new stuff. I can see all this stuff failing, and if this stuff fails, you know, I probably should stop putting it off, because one day I'm going to like sit down to record the podcast and nothing's going to work, and then I'm not going to be able to do a podcast. But, you know, I just can't be bothered at the moment. But if you support me on Patreon, it really helps to, you know, like just cover the costs of this podcast existing. If you like this podcast and you listen every week, please consider jumping on. But that's why I went with Broken Mike this week. But yeah, it was very, very frustrating, you know, because essentially I've decided I want to try and have, you know, I now view my content. For a while, like, I thought I was seeing this podcast as like my main thing, which I think it still is, but like now YouTube is like the hub for all of my content. So I do like not just podcasts, but I almost like mini pods, like 10-minute editorial style videos on different pop culture topics, right? And it was so frustrating because I recorded 3 of them and I lost all of it, and then I had to do them again. But really enjoying doing those on YouTube, and they're getting like really good views, and I'm really happy with that. So if you go on my YouTube, I did 3 videos this week. One is on Baby Reindeer, all my thoughts on Baby Reindeer, which has gone really well on YouTube, so please go and watch that. One is on the new Simpsons episode where they kill off a character. If you don't know who they killed off, go and watch that video. And then one is on, when I was in Japan, I discovered a manga and anime that is a clear Harry Potter ripoff. Also talked about it on Harry Potter and the Boys, but I'd love for you to go and watch those videos and support my work. It's just it's basically just more of my style content, and a little bit more, in-depth editorial kind of stuff. So please go and watch some of my videos. I thought of even just ripping the audio and putting them on this feed as like mini episodes. If you would want that, please let me know. Like, I've talked a lot about, using this feed for other stuff, but, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of not sure what I want to do at the moment, but yeah, really enjoying that. Of course, we're coming up to the end of the month as well, which means there is another movie club coming up with me and producer Pat. That is Punch Drunk Love, which is an Adam Sandler film from 2002. So look forward to hearing us talk about that later this month. The movie clubs have been really, really fun. But yeah, I think I wanted to share because I think I'm gonna move away, and not necessarily completely, but I'm gonna slowly move away from doing short form TikTok and Instagram content, as in like shorts and like 60-second videos, because and I've talked a little bit about it, they feel really disposable. I feel like it makes me skew my podcasts and my content to deliberately try and set up those clips, which I don't want to do anymore, and I don't like the content, and it kind of bridges into the next thing I want to talk about, which is going to be part of this segment this week. All the write-ins that you sent in. Essentially, I'm doing a blog now as well. Basically, like, I've got this whole Radio Mike universe of content, okay? There's like the podcast, weekly check-in. I call it an A-log. No, what do I call it? A plog, a podcast blog. A blog, I always get confused about this. A blog is a weblog. Blog is short for weblog. Then there was vlog, which is video weblog. And then I think I came up with a log, which is audio log, but then this isn't audio. This is like an audio video kind of thing. It's not just audio. So then I came up with plog, which is a podcast blog. So this is my plog. And I also do a blog, which is written content. Now I've got my plog, I've got my blog, I've got my YouTube channel, which is like my vlogs, lots of vlogs. So it's, just a universe of Mike content, and consume as much or as little as you want. It's more for me to believe in myself and do all this stuff. But did a blog this week, the first one back, because I kind of took a month off when I went to Japan, and really glad I did it, because did a blog about how I deleted social media while I was overseas, and I've kept the apps off my phone, which has been really good. So go and read that. It's going to be link in the description, or something like that. You'll find it, radiomike.substack.com or radiomike.com.au/blog. Had a bunch of feedback from a lot of people. I've just picked a few. Some people messaged me like privately, as in like to my personal number, like people I know, and the only reason I'm not going to read your messages is because they were kind of more personal or private, and if you send it to my Instagram, unless you specifically say I don't want this read out, I'll use it as content. But Radio Lincoln sent me a message on Insta. Hey, Mike, and I haven't heard from you before, so thanks for writing in. Hey, Mike, I enjoyed reading your recent blog post about deleting social media on your recent holiday. It resonated with me, as I also tried hard to appreciate and immerse myself when I traveled to Japan earlier this year, even though I didn't go as far as deleting social media. Thanks for sharing your experience and loving all the Japan content. Thank you. Lots of Japan photos and thoughts and writings going up on my Instagram, so check that out. Radio Harry said, great read, man. Absolutely hits home. Clocked 12 hours screen time in a day recently. Been yearning for a detox, but keep delaying it. This might just tip the scales. Keen to hear how this goes for you. Thank you, Harry. And Radio James Cracking little read there, Mike. You've inspired me to do the same. I'll keep up to date on all things Radio Mike by listening to TCB. Don't you worry. And that's good as well. So I just wanted to pick some because like lots of people really resonated with this, and I feel like there is a growing societal kind of push against social media. I think it is on the decline, which is also kind of why I'm reducing my time spent making content for those platforms, making video content for those platforms, because I keep thinking like, I don't want to spend an hour sucked into the TikTok vortex and just scrolling through TikTok videos, right? I don't want to do that. So why am I, like, I don't want to necessarily not create content for them because I want to have a presence as a creator on those platforms, but I'm like, I'd rather focus more on the sort of editorial content on YouTube that matters more to me and longer form content. Okay. So go and read my blog. I'd love for you to subscribe. It's free to subscribe, but no, check out, it's every fortnight at the moment. Kind of want to go to once a week, but time permitting. Also this week, got a phone call to the show's official 1-800 number, 1-800-438-353, 1-800-GET-FKD, get fucked. Which, I mean, if you're new to the show, and again, I talked about how the show's 6 years old, the first year of this show, which was wildly different, and I personally don't recommend going back to, but the first year of the show, the listeners of the podcast crowdfunded a phone number for the show, 1-800-438-353, 1-800-GET-FUCKED, as a meme, and you could call it and leave a voicemail. Some listeners, including one called Radio Scooter, who I don't know if you still listen to the show, but they made a jingle for this phone number.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Go 1-800-438-353.
That's the phone number there. And, it's such an interesting historical thing for this pod because the person who actually set that number up for me is Patrio Whitey, who's an executive producer on Patreon, who was just a listener of the pod in the very early days, happened to own a company that does these 1-800 numbers and offered to set it up for us as long as we could pay for the number. And, now I speak to Whitey all the time and we've become good friends. I saw him in Osaka. He's been on this pod. But just like, there was that, and then Scooter made the song with another listener, and like all of these people are part of the show's sort of identity, right? Got a very interesting voicemail from a listener, and he's lucky I actually listened to it because the number over the years went viral on TikTok and everything, and then I'm pretty sure it's now like a known meme, at least in Melbourne, that you can call 1-800-GET-FUCKED and it's funny when you call it. So I get calls from it. I get multiple calls a day, like probably like 10 calls a day to the number. And I never listen to them because they're always just someone laughing and hanging up, right? But I just happened to click on one and listen to it because it looked a bit longer than the others. And an old listener of the show, who I believe is still a Patrio Alex Sky, who was a very active member of the community a few years ago. He left a voicemail on 1-800-GET-FUCKED, and here's what he said.
Mikey, g'day, mate. It's Radio Alex Sky. I don't even know if you guys are still doing that whole little radio thing. But, I used to listen to this podcast heaps years ago, and I'm still tuning in every now and then. But it's been a while, and I'm only calling in because I was chatting to Whitey, great friend of the show, on the weekend at the BLT live podcast, actually. And it was a great hang. But, yeah, he was like, mate, get back into it because the pod's better than ever. And I've been seeing the clips. It's looking great, mate. It's looking fantastic. And I've missed it. I've missed the community. And, mate, most importantly, I've missed you. And I've missed calling this phone number, this beautiful phone number. It has a jingle that I actually made, when I was 16 in my bedroom during COVID. So I figured I'd get, back on board. It's been long enough. So, I've called this number without a plan. That's why I'm kind of just rambling right now. So in that case, I might close it off. Great to chat to you, kind of in this weird,
Okay, that's the end of the message. Thank you so much, Alex. So he actually he was the one who wrote that jingle, the music under that jingle for 1-800-438-353, which is just crazy. There's been such a great community around this pod over the years, and I understand people come and go. Like, I do the same. I dip in and out of pods. I'm never like, oh, I hate this pod now, but sometimes I'll just, like, miss a bunch of episodes, so I'll kind of just, like fall behind, and then I'll never be able to catch up. But, like, here's one thing I want to like really push, and I've said this before, I haven't said it for a while, but like if you like this pod and you've never contributed and you're just a lurking listener, that's fine. But consider just send me a message. I'd love to know that you're out there. Introduce yourself. Okay, join the Discord. There's lots of people in the Discord talking about the pod and a bunch of other stuff every night. I'm in there a bit as well. It's a fun community. And if you've dipped in and out of the pod over the years, would love to know where you're at today. Would just love to be like, hey, Mike, haven't listened for a while, but I'm still around. Love your stuff, or anything like that. So, you know, consider doing that. That's all I'll say. It was great to hear from Alex Sky, and we hope to hear from you soon. Okay. I also wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about a bit, which is like, obviously, again, this is kind of calling back to earlier days on the show, and I haven't referenced it for a while, but the official song of the show, of this podcast, the official song of the show is Me Love by Sean Kingston. That song has a big history on this show, and there are a few songs that have had a history on this show. Rainbow Connection by Kermit the Frog was one of them. I'm sure there's others I can't think of at the moment, but Me Love just always hit home for me. Sean Kingston, classic song. Love it. But I was with friend of the show, Keelan, yesterday, and I don't actually know how this even started, right? But a song just came into my head, and that happens a lot, okay? Songs just pop into my head. I remember that I'm like, oh, crazy. I love that song. Songs that like Me Love was like that. You know, it came out in 2007. I never thought about it until like 2021. And then I was like, this is the best song ever written. You know, another song that I think deserves more love, or maybe it's got love, but I just hadn't thought about it in a long time. And I think it's great. This song. It's La Bamba. I don't even know who it's by, right? But I was with Keelan yesterday, and I just was looking at him. I can't even remember but I just literally went, and we just realized how much fun that actually is to do. And just go, and like, I don't even know what the real words are. It's like, like everyone knows that song, but I don't think anyone knows the words because it's in a different language. Thought I'd just give Keelan a call and see how he feels about the whole, just if I start doing the La Bamba thing, how he will respond. Because we just realized it's fun to just obnoxiously sing La Bamba as loud as possible and just not. Hey, how are you, man? Sorry.
Good, how are you?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to tell you something, if you've got a sec.
Yeah. Are you recording this?
Yeah, I'm doing it on my pod. I was a bit short on content. Hey, how did that start yesterday?
I think it was just playing on the radio when we were in the Barney store, and we were just singing it.
Was it playing on the radio?
Yeah, because I don't think either of us just remembered that song.
I think I just started singing it.
Oh, maybe.
Don't you think that should just, like, I'm going to make it one of the official songs of my podcast because it's so joyful to just do it. Like, just do it for me. Just do it.
La 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 la.
It's like therapeutic to just get it out. Everyone listening right now, wherever you are, just do a
On the train.
yeah, just do it. Send in. Okay, I was just talking about, Keelan, my phone number, 1-800-GET-FUCKED, 1-800-438-353, right?
Yep.
This week, I'd really like to hear a few listeners send in a and just like, yeah. Anyone can do it. That's the beauty of it, right?
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll see us out with a La Bamba.
La 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 la.
All right, thanks, mate.
Bye.
Bye. It's so fun. It's my new favorite song. You can do it in any context. It's great. Please, sorry guys, that was a bit random, but I'd love for people to participate in that a little bit. Okay. Hey, this is on to more serious. Guys, I know we've been having fun this episode, but we really do need to get on to something more serious, if that's okay. But have you guys seen this, the Scarlett Johansson kind of thing? This is fascinating for more than one reason, okay? I guess most things are fascinating for more than one reason, but this is interesting. Scarlett Johansson is involved in like this AI scandal. Here's what it is. So, and it's so interesting because I was just talking about Movie Club. Look at all these connections today. Episode 2 of Movie Club this year in February, which again, I know people are enjoying Movie Club, so thanks for being part of it. Episode 2, we did the movie Her by Spike Jonze, which features Scarlett Johansson voicing an AI that a man falls in love with, and she falls in love with a man, okay? That is the premise of that film, and by coincidence, this story is directly related to that film, okay? And that's why I just find it interesting that we happened to do that movie for Movie Club, and then a couple months later, it's in the news. So, you know, I just think that's a little bit on the ball. So Scarlett Johansson is caught up in this thing where basically the creator of ChatGPT, I think, or, you know, something like that, asked her if she could be the voice of like ChatGPT's voice assistant, essentially to be like the Siri of ChatGPT. And he thought she would be a comforting voice and that people would really like it. And basically because she voiced that character, the AI character, in Her, the movie. This is Scarlett Johansson's own words that she wrote. No, how do I explain this story to you? Okay, so she said no, she didn't want to do it, and then they released the voice. They made a different voice and released it. This is that voice saying Scarlett Johansson's version of the story. So I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, just listen.
Last September, I received an offer from Sam Altman, who wanted to hire me to voice the current ChatGPT 4.0 system. He told me that he felt that by my voicing the system, I could bridge the gap between tech companies and creatives and help consumers to feel comfortable with the seismic shift concerning humans and AI. After much consideration, and for personal reasons, I declined the offer. 9 months later, my friends, family, and the general public all noted how much the newest system named Sky sounded like me.
Okay, so that is Sky, the new AI system that they went with, speaking what Scarlett Johansson wrote, okay? And she's essentially saying, I said no, but they basically just used my voice anyway. They basically just recreated my voice, even though I didn't give them permission to do that. And it is just fascinating because, like, it's like life imitating art in the weirdest way, because this guy has obviously seen Her, the movie, and been like, oh, Scarlett Johansson would make a really good AI voice, because she actually does in the movie. But like, I guess the movie is, I don't know if it's necessarily cynical about AI. It's just like I guess it's just a case study of what AI could look like for people, right? And the problems that we could encounter with AI. But then to go and make that movie essentially a reality by making Scarlett Johansson's voice the ChatGPT voice is really such a weird decision. And then the other weird part is that she didn't give permission, they did it anyway. It creates like all of these ethical considerations, essentially. Like, how do we protect this from happening? You know, I saw a thing on LinkedIn recently where like voice actors in Australia are sort of unionizing to prevent AI being used in their industry, because it's just like, it's going to become a big problem where you can basically just clone anyone's voice and AI generate. We've done it on the Pat and Mike show on Patreon. Pat created a AI voice model of Mal Walden, who used to read the news on Channel 10 in the 2000s. Like, that's an not obscure, but that's just a news reader from Australia. And it's a pretty accurate voice, right? So we could do that. So it's like, you do have to think about the impact on that industry. And then, like, I guess put it further, like, there is enough audio of my voice out there that you could probably make a really reliable AI voice clone. And then, would you guys, like, if I died, would you guys just listen to an AI-generated version of this podcast that just sounds like me? It's AI generated, but it sounds like it's me and it speaks like me. Like, what would actually the discernible difference be, really? Especially if you didn't know I was dead. Like, if I just decided I'm not doing it anymore, but I'm just going to get AI to make it and generate it for me. And then these guys can like listen to it, but not know it's actually not me. Do you know what it's very interesting. So unethical to just clone her voice. Reminds me a lot of, and I've talked about this before, about Futurama, who did that episode with Lucy Liu where you can download a celebrity's likeness into a robot and essentially date a celebrity, and Fry starts dating Lucy Liu, essentially against her will, against her consent. But it's not the real Lucy Liu, but it's her body, her voice, her face and everything, right? I think this is going to be, I mean, it's definitely going to become a big problem. There's going to be so many things in the next 20 years surrounding this technology and like problems where identities are going to be stolen. It's going to become almost impossible to tell whether things are real or not. And it's going to be like social media where like the legal system isn't prepared for it yet and doesn't know the extent of it. Like, we're only just now in Australia talking about social media bans and talking about regulation around social media when social media has been around for like, 15 years. We're only just now getting onto legislation around it. We're only just now figuring out the mental health issues and the health impacts and the impact on children and the impact on society and trying to do something. The same way we only started making rules and laws in Australia, at least around smoking and cigarette packaging. And, in Australia, like cigarette packaging is all completely blank. You can't advertise cigarettes. You can't, every cigarette pack has to have like basically a picture of someone dying because of tobacco, because of like smoking related disease. And, it's supposed to be off-putting. You can't even display cigarettes in stores. They have to be behind like a closed kind of cabinet or whatever. Like, I remember when I worked at a liquor store, we sold cigarettes and cigars, but they had to be behind, a closed section, and you had to open it up when people wanted to buy cigarettes. We only started doing all that when we realized everyone was getting cancer, everyone was getting throat cancer, lung cancer, everyone was dying and getting sick because of cigarettes. That's when we started making rules around it, right? So it's going to take us 15 years of everything fucking up before people start going, this is actually bad. Like, we all know it's bad now. No one's going to do anything until people start getting hurt. That's the problem. And that's what happened with social media. We probably all could have said this is a bad thing, but no, until kids started dying and young girls started having eating disorders in massive amounts and people started becoming very mentally ill. That's when we're like, actually, maybe kids shouldn't be on this. We need to restrict it, right? We can only correct things once the damage has been done, which is like a sad reflection of human society. And I think that is going to become a massive problem. People's identities will be stolen. Celebrity, like AI porn and AI celebrity porn is going to be like, it's going to be so pervasive and big, I think. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, it's just going to be really, really bad. I think lots of like documents and things will be faked. Like anything can just be faked now very easily and very convincingly. And I think it's going to be chaotic. And you might, if you've listened to this pod for a while, you'll notice that I have been increasingly pessimistic about the direction of the world. And I genuinely am at the moment. Like I feel so pessimistic about where we are at as a society and where we are heading. And this is not going to do it. And this is, you know, this Scarlett Johansson thing, this is it happening in real time. You know, this is that. You know, you don't watch a sci-fi that is critiquing these things and then go, let's make that in real life. You know, that's not what we're supposed to do, but we are. Like, every science fiction about AI ever shows the AI ending up becoming too smart and outsmarting the humans. Like, whether it's iRobot, whether it's Ex Machina, like, whatever it is, there is no science fiction where it's like, oh, and the AI just was always subservient to us and we just always had control of it. It just did exactly what we needed it to do. It's never been that. Yet, as humans, we're like, we should keep doing this. We got to keep doing this. Like, how do we think it's going to end? Honestly. It's a really fascinating story, this ScarJo thing, and I think she's taking legal action. And I think they actually have taken down this Sky voice model, which is probably for the best. But I mean, someone's voice is gonna have to be it, and maybe they should use my voice. I'd probably be good at it. Anyway, keen to know your thoughts. Leave a comment or, you know, DM me your thoughts on this or anything that you think is worth discussing. Any questions? I'd love to hear from you. I've got two more quick things that I want to talk about on the pod this week. The first one is, again, it's like a reflection on society, but I think as well, everyone is just, I don't even know how to start explaining this. I guess it starts with Channel 9 in Australia is running season 2 of this show called The Summit. I actually talked about it last year because I really liked it. It's just this reality format where like 12 people have to climb a mountain. It's interesting. It's not amazing, but like I liked it. And I've been watching it this year again. It's probably halfway through now. And I just watch it on free-to-air TV. Well, I watch it basically, like, I use, on my Apple TV, I have the Channel 9 Now app, and I go into it, and then I go live TV, and I put it on. And that's cool. I was looking at the channel options on 9 Now, and 10 Play, and all of these different kind of free-to-air TV streaming apps. They now have channels, I might have even talked about this, they now have channels that are just 24-hour Seinfeld. They have 2 channels on 10 that is 24-hour South Park. 10 also has like 24-hour Nickelodeon old school cartoons. It is, and to be honest, I like it. There's something about watching free-to-air TV. People will hate it, but in this world, something about watching free-to-air TV and seeing the ads and stuff that reminds me of being a kid. It takes me back to being a kid. I kind of talked about this when I was talking about Malcolm in the Middle a few weeks ago on the pod, where I was saying that Malcolm in the Middle takes me back to a time in the 2000s where things weren't what they are now. And you just have to watch commercials and stuff. When I see like ad breaks and stuff and I just watch and I feel immersed. I feel like part of something. Whereas when I'm watching a streaming, like a Netflix show or something, I don't feel that as much. And with the paradox of choice now, some of the streaming services are just going to have to cave. I think Netflix, Disney, maybe Stan in Australia will probably stay, but I think the rest are going to eventually just cave. It's not sustainable. It's too competitive. It's too diluted. It's not sustainable. So, but I think a lot of people are just sick of having to essentially choose everything every night. Whereas like 24-hour Seinfeld channel. Yeah, I'll just put that on. And I just know, like, I'll just watch Seinfeld on repeat tonight. Just random Seinfeld episodes. I just think it is so interesting how we regress. Like, we got to this point where it was just there is too much content now. There is too much. You can't possibly consume all of it. So people get frustrated and can't choose anything. And we've essentially regressed to this point where now you'd just rather have just choose for me, 24-hour Seinfeld, 24-hour Nickelodeon, 24-hour South Park. Choose for me so I don't have to make a choice or think. And we've gone back to normal, what TV used to be, essentially. I actually like the idea of just linear TV, not like Netflix recommending me its stupid shit and all of this. I mean, I don't even use streaming. I use Plex now, which is better because it's just everything I want to watch on it. But do you guys use any of these channels? Like, I didn't even really know half of them existed, but I just think it's so fascinating that we've essentially regressed back to what TV used to be. Would be keen to know your thoughts on that. Hey, I'm going to wrap it there. Psst, the plug. It is the plug. Sorry, there was definitely a gap there because I was trying to play La Bamba straight after the plug, but I didn't quite get there. Hey, I want to plug this song. It's called La Bamba. No, I want to plug Harry Potter and the Boys. Runs every week on a Tuesday. It is so much fun. It's definitely the funniest content I make, and I laugh so hard with Sam Garlep, who hosts it with me. Give him a follow as well. Check out what he's up to. He's a writer on Cheap Seats and The 100 with Andy Lee and stuff like that. So go and check out his stuff. YouTube, as I said, there were 3 vids up this week. Thoughts on Baby Reindeer, thoughts on that Simpsons episode where they kill off a character, and then thoughts on this anime/manga that ripped off Harry Potter. It's very funny. Go and watch that. I will have a bunch of videos coming up soon, including I watched the movie Ice Age on the plane to Japan, and I think it's underrated as fuck. So I'm going to do a video on that on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and check out my videos there. And I don't know. I have a few other ideas. I want to talk about the Curb Your Enthusiasm finale and why that was awesome. So yeah, go and check that out to go right now. If you're like, oh no, Mike's pod is over. I love Mike's pod. I want to keep listening to him. Just go to my YouTube, play a bunch of my videos. You know, that's there's original content going up now. I used to just put basically clips from this pod. Now I'm putting original content up there. So yeah, would love to get you over there. And from there, the blog, go and read it. There's a bunch of written content up there now. So, there's probably 5 or 6 3-minute reads. If you want to kill a train ride, read some of my stuff. And Instagram, I guess follow me. Twitter, follow me. All of the stuff we tell you to do. I'll be back next week, and we'll also be back with a movie club very, very soon next week. So yeah, would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening this week. My name's Radio Mike. This podcast has been The Inside of My Mind. I'll catch you later.